Welcome to Eternal Enigma. Tonight we're going to talk about something that has happened to you or will happen to you at least once in your lifetime. You wake up, but you can't move. You can't speak. You can't even scream. There's a weight on your chest, crushing the air from your lungs. And then you see it, a shadow figure standing at the foot of your bed, watching you with malevolent intent. This is sleep paralysis. But what if I told you it's not a glitch in your brain? What if it's a doorway, a vulnerability in your consciousness that allows non-physical entities to interact with you directly? Let's dive into the terrifying truth behind sleep paralysis and the beings that hunt you while you sleep. Sleep paralysis affects approximately 8% of the general population regularly, with up to 40% of people experiencing it at least once in their lives. Medical science explains it as a dissociation between mind and body during REM sleep. Your brain wakes up while your body remains in the paralyzed state that normally prevents you from acting out your dreams. Simple, right? A neurological hiccup, nothing supernatural. Except that explanation doesn't account for the consistency of the experiences. People across different cultures, different time periods, different continents, who have never communicated with each other, report seeing the same entities, the same shadow figures, the same old hag sitting on their chest, the same reptilian beings, the same feeling of pure primal evil. If sleep paralysis were purely neurological, why would the hallucinations be so universally consistent? Why would a person in Japan see the same shadowy figure that someone in Brazil sees, that someone in medieval Europe described centuries ago? Ancient cultures didn't call it sleep paralysis. They called it spiritual attack. The old hag in Newfoundland folklore, the night hag in Germanic traditions, kanashibari in Japan, literally meaning bound by metal. Islamic tradition speaks of jinn attacks during sleep. Every culture has a name for it, and every culture understood it as a non-physical entity taking advantage of a vulnerable state. Modern occult research suggests that sleep paralysis occurs when consciousness is caught between dimensions, partially in the physical body, partially in the astral plane. In this liminal state, you become visible to entities that normally exist just outside human perception. You're neither fully here nor fully there, and that makes you accessible, but it's not random. Some people experience sleep paralysis once and never again. Others are targeted repeatedly, sometimes multiple times per week. Why? What makes certain individuals more vulnerable to these nocturnal encounters? We're going to explore the entities most commonly reported during sleep paralysis, examine why these attacks happen, and most importantly, provide techniques to defend yourself and even transform the experience from terror into spiritual empowerment. Because once you understand what's happening, fear loses its grip, and when fear loses its grip, these entities lose their power over you. The most common night visitors, the single most reported phenomenon during sleep paralysis, is the shadow person, a dark humanoid figure, usually featureless, standing near the bed or in doorways, sometimes motionless, sometimes slowly approaching, always radiating malevolence. These aren't vague shapes. Witnesses describe them with unsettling consistency: tall, impossibly dark, darker than the surrounding darkness, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Some report red or white eyes. Others see nothing but a void in the shape of a human. The presence feels intelligent, aware, and decidedly hostile. Mainstream science dismisses shadow people as hypnagogic hallucinations, visual artifacts produced by a brain transitioning between sleep and wakefulness. But this explanation falters when you examine cases where multiple people in the same household report seeing the same shadow person, or when physical evidence, moved objects, scratches, electronic disturbances appears after encounters. So what are they? Occult traditions offer several theories. Some believe shadow people are astral parasites, low-level entities that feed on fear and negative emotional energy. They lack the power to physically harm you, but they can terrorize you, and that terror produces the energetic frequency they consume. Others suggest shadow people are thought forms or egregores, entities created by collective human fear and given autonomous existence through repeated belief and emotional feeding. Every time someone experiences sleep paralysis and interprets the presence as a shadow person, they reinforce the archetype, making it more real, more powerful. A darker theory proposes that shadow people are interdimensional beings, entities that exist in a frequency band slightly offset from our physical reality. Sleep paralysis creates a temporary overlap between dimensions, allowing them to perceive us and in some cases attempt to interact or even attach themselves to vulnerable individuals. There's also the Jungian interpretation. Shadow people represent the manifestation of your own repressed darkness, the shadow self, containing all the aspects of your personality you've denied or suppressed. In the liminal state of sleep paralysis, this rejected material gains temporary autonomous expression, appearing as an external threat when it's actually an internal one. But here's what makes shadow people particularly disturbing. They seem to learn. Repeat experiencers report that the entities become more sophisticated over time, as if studying their victims, finding more effective ways to generate fear. Some witnesses describe shadow people that mimic loved ones or whisper personal information that shouldn't be knowable. One extensively documented case involves a woman in Oregon who experienced sleep paralysis regularly for 3 years. Initially, she saw generic shadow figures. Over time, the entity became more defined, eventually appearing as a tall figure in an old-fashioned suit and hat, the classic hat man variation reported worldwide. It would stand silently at first, then began moving closer with each encounter, until it was leaning directly over her face. After seeking help from a paranormal researcher and implementing protection techniques, the encounters stopped abruptly, as if the entity realized it could no longer feed from her fear. This suggests intelligence and strategy, not random neurological misfiring. Shadow people attacks typically occur during periods of stress, illness, or emotional vulnerability, times when your energetic defenses are naturally weakened. They're opportunistic predators, testing for openings in your psychic immune system. The key to defending against shadow people is understanding that they feed on fear. Your terror is their food source. When you can observe them without emotional reaction, easier said than done. Admittedly, they lose power. Many experienced lucid dreamers and astral projectors report that once they learned to remain calm during paralysis, the shadow figures either disappeared or became less threatening. Some even report successfully communicating with these entities, discovering they're not inherently evil but simply existing in a predatory relationship with human consciousness, much like how humans consume animals without considering it evil, just natural survival. Whether shadow people are external entities, internal projections, or interdimensional predators, the practical response remains the same. Do not feed them fear. That's easier to say than to do in the moment, which is why preparation and energetic protection are essential. The suffocating presence. While shadow people watch from a distance, another category of entities gets disturbingly close. The old hag phenomenon describes a feeling of crushing weight on the chest, often accompanied by the sensation of being strangled or suffocated. Some witnesses report seeing an elderly woman sitting on their chest, grinning malevolently. Others simply feel the oppressive presence without visual accompaniment. This experience is so common it has specific names in dozens of cultures. In Newfoundland, it's the old hag. In Turkish tradition, it's Karabasan, the dark presser. Chinese culture calls it guiyachuang, ghost pressing on bed. The consistency is remarkable, something heavy, something malevolent, something that makes breathing nearly impossible. Medical science attributes the chest pressure to the natural muscle atonia of REM sleep combined with breathing pattern changes. But this doesn't explain why the sensation feels externally imposed, why it's accompanied by a sense of evil presence, or why some people report bruising or marks on their chest after the experience. Occult traditions identify the old hag as a specific type of entity, a psychic vampire or energy drainer that feeds on life force rather than fear. The crushing sensation is the entity drawing vitality directly from the victim's energy body, particularly from the solar plexus chakra, which governs personal power and life force. Closely related are the incubus and succubus, male and female entities that attack during sleep with sexual undertones. Medieval grimoires and demonological texts extensively document these beings, describing them as demons that seduce or assault sleeping victims, sometimes for pleasure, sometimes for more sinister purposes like stealing sexual energy, or even attempting to create hybrid offspring. Modern experiencers of sleep paralysis sometimes report explicitly sexual sensations being touched inappropriately, feeling phantom weight pressing down on their body in suggestive ways, or even experiencing forced arousal. These reports are often accompanied by intense shame, making them underreported in medical contexts but common in paranormal forums and occult communities. From an esoteric perspective, sexual energy is extremely potent. It's creative life force, the same energy that can generate new physical life. Entities that have no physical form themselves may crave this energy, attempting to siphon it from humans during vulnerable states. There's also a psychological component. Sexual repression, guilt, or unprocessed trauma can manifest in the astral realm as autonomous entities that mirror these unresolved issues. The incubus, succubus might be an externalized representation of your own sexual shadow, desires, or experiences you've buried that gain independent expression in the liminal space of sleep paralysis. However, some cases suggest external intelligence. A documented case from the 1970s involved multiple women in the same apartment building reporting identical experiences. A male presence that would appear during sleep paralysis touch them inappropriately and whisper the same phrases. When they compared notes and discovered the consistency, they performed a group banishing ritual. The attacks stopped immediately for all of them. The ancient predators. Now we enter territory that sounds like science fiction but appears with disturbing frequency in sleep paralysis reports. Reptilian entities. Witnesses describe beings with scaled skin, elongated faces, vertical slit pupils, and an aura of cold intelligence. These aren't the comical lizard people of internet memes. Experiencers describe them as terrifyingly real, ancient, and utterly indifferent to human suffering. David Icke popularized the theory of reptilian entities controlling human civilization from behind the scenes, but reports of reptilian beings during sleep paralysis predate his work by decades. Ancient cultures worldwide depicted reptilian gods and demons, the Nagas in Hindu and Buddhist traditions, the serpent beings in Sumerian texts, Quetzalcoatl in Mesoamerican mythology, and the serpent in Eden. What makes reptilian encounters during sleep paralysis particularly disturbing is the reported communication. Unlike shadow people who simply radiate malevolence, or the old hag who drains energy, reptilian entities reportedly interact, sometimes through telepathy, conveying complex information, threats, or even recruitment attempts. One extensively documented case involves a man in Australia who experienced sleep paralysis weekly for 6 months. Each time, he reported seeing the same reptilian being standing beside his bed, staring at him with what he described as scientific curiosity. Eventually, the entity began communicating telepathically, claiming to be studying human consciousness and stating that certain humans were being prepared for an upcoming shift in planetary frequency. Whether this was genuine contact or an elaborate psychological manifestation is impossible to determine, but the consistency and detail of his accounts were remarkable. From an esoteric perspective, reptilian entities might represent the most ancient part of human consciousness, the reptilian brain, the survival-oriented, emotionless, predatory aspect of psyche that exists beneath our mammalian and higher cognitive functions. In the vulnerability of sleep paralysis, this primal self might gain autonomous expression, appearing as an external entity when it's actually the deepest layer of your own mind. Alternatively, Gnostic interpretations suggest reptilians are archonic forces, servants of the demiurge, who maintain the material prison by feeding on human fear and preventing spiritual awakening. They appear during sleep paralysis because that's when human consciousness is most vulnerable to interdimensional contact and potential manipulation. Then there are the Watchers, entities described as impossibly tall, often wearing robes or appearing as silhouettes, standing completely still and simply observing. These beings don't attack, don't communicate, don't move. They just watch with an intensity that feels like your soul is being examined. The Watchers appear in multiple esoteric traditions. The Book of Enoch describes the Watchers as angels who descended to earth to teach humanity forbidden knowledge. Some remained benevolent guides, others became corrupted. Modern experiencers of the Watcher phenomenon during sleep paralysis often report a sense that they're being evaluated, judged, or monitored by intelligence far beyond human comprehension. One theory suggests the Watchers are higher dimensional observers, beings who exist outside linear time, monitoring human spiritual development. Sleep paralysis provides them a window into human consciousness, allowing assessment of individual evolutionary progress. Another interpretation frames the Watchers as aspects of your higher self, the eternal divine part of consciousness temporarily observing your human experience from outside the illusion of material reality. The uncomfortable feeling of being watched might actually be you watching yourself from a higher vantage point, creating temporary cognitive dissonance. What unifies all these entities, shadow people, old hags, incubus/succubus, reptilians and watchers, is that they appear during the liminal state, when consciousness is neither fully physical nor fully astral. This suggests that sleep paralysis opens a door, a temporary breach in the normal barriers that separate dimensions of existence. Understanding the spiritual battlefield. Sleep paralysis doesn't happen randomly. There are identifiable patterns, triggers, and vulnerabilities that make certain individuals more susceptible to these nocturnal encounters. Physical triggers. Medical science identifies several physical conditions that increase sleep paralysis frequency. Disrupted sleep schedules, sleep deprivation, sleeping on your back, narcolepsy, sleep apnea, and certain medications. These are real factors, but they're not the complete picture. From an esoteric perspective, these physical conditions create energetic vulnerabilities. Sleep deprivation weakens your auric field, the electromagnetic energy barrier that surrounds and protects your physical body. When this field is compromised, you become more visible and accessible to non-physical entities. Sleeping on your back is particularly significant in occult traditions. This position leaves the solar plexus and heart chakras exposed and vulnerable. Many spiritual protection teachings recommend sleeping on your side or stomach to shield these energy centers. Energetic triggers. Your emotional and psychological state dramatically affects your susceptibility to sleep paralysis encounters. Periods of intense stress, grief, depression, or fear lower your vibrational frequency, essentially broadcasting a signal that attracts parasitic entities that feed on negative energy. Think of it like blood in the water attracting sharks. When you're emanating fear, anger, or despair, entities that consume those frequencies are naturally drawn to you. Sleep paralysis provides them access to feed directly. This is why sleep paralysis often clusters during difficult life periods: breakups, job loss, death of loved ones, trauma, illness. It's not just that stress disrupts sleep patterns, it's that emotional turmoil creates energetic openings that entities exploit. Psychic sensitivity. Some individuals are naturally more psychically sensitive, more aware of subtle energies, more prone to intuitive insights, more capable of perceiving non-physical phenomena. This sensitivity is a gift, but it also makes you more vulnerable to unwanted spiritual contact. If you're naturally empathic, if you've practiced meditation or energy work, if you've experimented with psychedelics or consciousness-altering techniques, you've likely expanded your perceptual range. This means you can sense more, but it also means more can sense you. Sleep paralysis in psychically sensitive individuals often serves as an initiation or test. Entities probe your defenses, assess your awareness, and determine whether you're capable of navigating non-physical realms safely. If you panic and generate massive fear, you've failed the test and marked yourself as prey. If you remain calm and assert your sovereignty, you demonstrate mastery and the attacks typically cease. Spiritual warfare. This is the most controversial interpretation, but it appears consistently in reports from individuals on serious spiritual paths. If you're actively working to raise your consciousness, break free from limiting belief systems, or access higher states of awareness, you may attract negative attention from forces that benefit from human ignorance. Gnostic texts describe archons as entities that maintain the illusion of material reality and prevent souls from escaping the reincarnation cycle. If you begin awakening to your true nature as eternal consciousness, if you start practicing techniques that could lead to liberation, these forces may attempt to terrorize you back into compliance. Sleep paralysis becomes a weapon, a way to generate so much fear that you abandon your spiritual practices and return to unconscious, controlled existence. Many spiritual teachers throughout history have described facing dark nights of the soul, periods of intense psychic attack designed to test their commitment to the path, attachment, and obsession. Sometimes sleep paralysis entities aren't random attackers, they're attached parasites. These attachments can occur through various means: visiting haunted locations, using Ouija boards or other spirit communication tools without proper protection, experimenting with dark occult practices, or simply being in severely weakened states, addiction, trauma, illness, that allow entities to latch onto your energy field. An attached entity has continuous access. It feeds on your energy regularly, influences your thoughts and emotions, and can manifest more easily during sleep paralysis because it's already connected to your field. Certain behaviors attract and strengthen these attachments: sustained negative thinking, addiction, especially to substances, obsessive fear or anger, and engaging with violent or disturbing content. These activities lower your frequency and create resonance with lower frequency entities. Location matters. Some places have higher concentrations of entity activity: homes built on former battlefields, hospitals, cemeteries, or sites of trauma. If sleep paralysis suddenly begins after moving to a new location, the environment itself might be the trigger. The space could harbor residual negative energy or be a natural thin place where the veil between dimensions is weaker. Understanding why you're vulnerable is the first step toward protection. Once you identify your specific triggers, whether physical, emotional, energetic, or environmental, you can address them systematically and reclaim your sovereignty over your own consciousness. Techniques for spiritual warfare. Now for the practical part. How do you defend yourself against sleep paralysis entities? How do you transform from victim to warrior in the astral battlefield? Immediate response during paralysis. When you find yourself in sleep paralysis, your first instinct is panic. Fight that instinct. Your fear is the primary weapon these entities use against you. The moment you can observe the experience without emotional reactivity, you've taken back power. Try these techniques in the moment. 1. Focused breathing. Even though your body is paralyzed, you can usually control your breath to some degree. Focus intensely on breathing deeply and slowly. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, reducing panic, and also serves as an anchor to maintain conscious awareness. 2. Mental assertion. Mentally state with absolute conviction, I am sovereign. This is my space. You are not welcome here. Leave. The key is not the words themselves, but the intent behind them. You must genuinely claim authority over your own consciousness. Entities respond to will and intent, not to fearful pleading. 3. Visualization. Imagine brilliant white or golden light emanating from your heart center, expanding outward to fill the room and push out any negative presence. Visualize yourself surrounded by an impenetrable sphere of protective light. Thought creates reality in non-physical dimensions. Your visualization is actually constructing an energetic barrier. 4. Invoke protection. Call upon whatever spiritual protection aligns with your beliefs: angels, spirit guides, your higher self, protective deities. The act of invoking higher assistance signals that you're not isolated prey, but connected to greater power. 5. Break the paralysis. Focus on moving a single small body part, wiggling a toe, moving a finger, or moving your eyes side to side. Once you break through with one small movement, full motor control usually returns rapidly. This also immediately ends the vulnerable state that allows entity contact. Preventive measures. 1. Sleep hygiene. Maintain regular sleep schedules. Avoid sleep deprivation and optimize your sleeping environment. A well-rested body maintains stronger energetic boundaries. 2. Bedroom energetics. Your bedroom should be a sanctuary. Remove electronic devices that emit electromagnetic fields. EMFs can disrupt your auric field. Avoid having mirrors facing the bed. Mirrors are considered portals in many esoteric traditions. Keep the space clean, uncluttered, and filled with positive associations. 3. Protection rituals. Before sleep, perform a simple protection ritual. This can be as elaborate or simple as feels appropriate. Visualize your bedroom surrounded by white light. State aloud, only beings of the highest good and light may enter this space. Place protective symbols at entry points. Salt across doorways. Protective crystals like black tourmaline or selenite near the bed. Religious symbols that resonate with you. Burn protective herbs like sage, palo santo, or frankincense to cleanse the space energetically. Strengthen your field. Daily practices that strengthen your energetic body reduce vulnerability. Meditation builds mental discipline and raises your base frequency. Physical exercise keeps energy flowing and prevents stagnation. Grounding techniques, walking barefoot, spending time in nature, stabilize your field. Reducing consumption of negative media, toxic relationships, and harmful substances. Practicing gratitude and positive focus elevates your emotional vibration. Shadow work. If entities represent aspects of your own psyche, the ultimate protection is integration. Engage with your repressed fears, traumas, and shadow material through therapy, journaling, or guided inner work. When you make peace with your internal darkness, it stops manifesting as external threats. Advanced techniques. 1. Lucid dreaming training. Learn to recognize when you're dreaming. Once you achieve lucidity during sleep paralysis, you gain complete control. You can transform the entity, dissolve the experience, or even initiate astral projection. The nightmare becomes a launchpad for conscious exploration. 2. Astral projection. Some experienced practitioners deliberately induce sleep paralysis because it's an ideal state for initiating out-of-body experiences. Instead of fighting the paralysis, they relax into it and consciously exit the physical body, leaving behind any entities focused on the physical form. Entity communication. Advanced approach. Instead of banishing the entity, attempt communication. Ask who they are, what they want, why they're present. Some practitioners report that certain entities are actually attempting to deliver messages or warnings, not cause harm. Others are simply confused spirits, not malevolent demons. 4. Energetic banishing. Learn basic energy manipulation. During paralysis, gather energy in your solar plexus, compress it into a sphere of brilliant light, then explosively release it outward with the intent to clear all negative presence. This technique requires practice, but can be devastatingly effective. 5. Calling in reinforcements. Build relationships with protective entities before you need them. Regular meditation, connecting with guardian spirits, angels, ancestors, or power animals creates alliances. When sleep paralysis occurs, these allies can intervene on your behalf. When to seek help. If sleep paralysis becomes chronic, if entities become more aggressive over time, or if you experience physical harm, scratches, bruises, objects moved, seek assistance from experienced practitioners, shamans, energy healers, exorcists, or paranormal investigators depending on your belief framework. Some cases involve genuine attachment or haunting that requires expert intervention. There's no shame in asking for help when facing forces beyond your current capability to handle. The hidden gift of sleep paralysis. Here's the perspective shift that changes everything. What if sleep paralysis isn't a curse, but an opportunity? Many spiritual traditions describe similar states as portals to higher consciousness. Tibetan dream yoga teaches practitioners to remain aware during sleep transitions, using these states to explore the nature of reality and achieve enlightenment. Shamanic initiations often involve terrifying encounters with spirits that, once overcome, grant the initiate power and wisdom. Sleep paralysis forces you to confront fear in its purest form. Fear without physical danger, fear of the unknown, fear of losing control. It's a crucible that burns away ego attachments and reveals what you're truly made of. Those who learn to navigate sleep paralysis without panic report profound transformations, decreased fear of death. You've experienced consciousness existing separate from body control, enhanced psychic abilities. You've proven non-physical perception is real, greater confidence. You've faced supernatural terror and survived. Access to lucid dreaming and astral projection. Direct experiential proof that consciousness transcends physical matter. Some spiritual teachers suggest that sleep paralysis entities are actually teachers in disguise, challenging you to claim your power, testing your readiness for expanded awareness, forcing you to confront and integrate your shadow. The entity standing at the foot of your bed might not be there to harm you. It might be there to wake you up, to show you that reality is far stranger than consensus belief admits, that consciousness operates across multiple dimensions, that you are far more than your physical body. Every spiritual path involves a dark night, a period where your comfortable worldview collapses and you're forced to face the void. Sleep paralysis might be your dark night, delivered in concentrated doses until you get the message you are not a helpless victim. You are eternal consciousness, having a temporary human experience. The entities aren't the point. Your response to the entities is the point. Do you collapse into terror, reinforcing victimhood? Or do you stand in your sovereignty, claiming authority over your own consciousness? That choice determines not just whether the sleep paralysis continues, but what kind of spiritual being you're becoming. Many who master sleep paralysis report that once they stopped fearing it, stopped needing to defend against it, the experiences transformed or ceased entirely. The entities weren't the problem. The relationship to fear was the problem. This doesn't mean spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity. Real entities might exist. Genuine dangers might be present. But your power lies not in your ability to destroy them, but in your refusal to be destroyed by them. Sleep paralysis teaches the ultimate lesson: when you cannot move your body, when you cannot speak, when you're stripped of all physical defenses, what remains? Consciousness remains. Awareness remains. The eternal you remains. Untouchable, indestructible, sovereign. And once you know that experientially, not as belief but as lived truth, fear loses its ultimate grip. You've touched the part of yourself that survives everything, including death itself. Your nightly battlefield. Sleep paralysis is not a medical curiosity. It's not a random neurological glitch. It's a doorway to higher dimensions, to inner darkness, to entities beyond human comprehension, and most importantly, to the depths of your own consciousness. Whether the entities you encounter are external beings or internal projections ultimately doesn't matter. What matters is how you respond when faced with terror in the dark. You can be prey, frozen in fear, giving your power away to whatever manifests in your bedroom, or you can be sovereign, claiming authority over your own consciousness, standing firm in the face of the unknown, transforming terror into curiosity, paralysis into opportunity. The choice, as always, is yours. But now you know, you're not alone in this experience. You're not crazy, and you're not helpless. Millions have walked this path before you. Many have emerged stronger, wiser, and more spiritually awake. If sleep paralysis finds you tonight, remember, breathe, assert your sovereignty, and know that you are far more powerful than anything that haunts the spaces between waking and dreaming. If you want to explore more of these hidden truths, the mysteries of consciousness, the entities that share our reality, and the techniques for navigating unseen dimensions, subscribe to Eternal Enigma. We're just getting started. Until next time, sleep well, but sleep aware. The night is full of teachers for those brave enough to face them. And remember, fear is a choice. Choose differently.